There is a kind of peace that only a garden can give. A silence filled not with emptiness, but with life. Every stone, every leaf, every curve of a root tells a story of patience, of time, of beauty reborn. Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a place where nature's rhythm meets the quiet art of creation. In this episode, we invite you to wander through ideas shaped by imagination and renewal. Here, forgotten things find purpose again. Old roots become sculptures, stones turn into mosaics, and recycled metal finds harmony beside blooming flowers. Each creation whispers of balance, of the gentle bond between human hands and the living earth. The colors you'll see, the textures you'll imagine, are all brought to life through digital design and storytelling. This content has been thoughtfully crafted and composed with the help of artificial intelligence, a creative companion that helps us share inspiration in vivid detail. Yet, the soul of this work remains deeply human, born from the love of gardens, of sunlight, of transformation. So, take a moment to breathe, to let your thoughts rest among the petals and pebbles, and imagine your own garden corner, quiet, alive, and endlessly evolving. If you find warmth and peace here, we invite you to stay connected with us. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio so you can keep journeying with us through stories of recycled beauty, crafted not to impress, but to inspire serenity in your everyday. In the heart of a quiet countryside garden, there lies a pathway unlike any other. A winding trail made of recycled stones and gentle roots reborn as art. Each pebble carries a story of renewal. Once discarded, now gleaming softly beneath the golden afternoon sun. The roots, once hidden beneath the soil, twist and curl above ground, sculpted by patient hands into shapes that seem to breathe. A wave, a spiral, a quiet dance of nature reimagined. Marigolds flicker beside the stones like drops of sunlight, while asters sway in lavender tones, whispering against the breeze. Here, even the air feels new, alive with color and quiet gratitude. A woman bends down, placing one more root carving at the edge of the path. The wood feels warm from the light, the stones cool under her fingers. She smiles, knowing this small piece of earth now carries both memory and meaning. This is where beauty meets kindness, where recycling becomes poetry, and waste becomes wonder. Every curve of root, every painted stone, stands as a reminder that art doesn't need perfection. It only needs patience and purpose. The garden hums softly, bees drift between blooms, and the soft hum of life seems to echo through the ground. As dusk approaches, the stones catch the amber glow, turning the pathway into a ribbon of light leading home. The roots cast long shadows, graceful and proud, like ancient guardians of the garden's gentle soul. It is not grand or extravagant, but it is alive, endlessly alive, built from what once was forgotten. And when the first evening breeze arrives, carrying the scent of chrysanthemums and soil, it feels as if the garden itself whispers, "Nothing is ever truly lost, only waiting to be found again." In a quiet backyard, the hum of life meets the whisper of metal reborn. What was once rusted and forgotten now gleams softly beside the stones. A garden where the strength of iron and the calm of rock find balance. The recycled metal, brushed with muted tones of moss green and clay brown, blends gently with the earth around it. Between them, the flowers bloom, marigolds glowing like little suns, asters spilling violet light into the morning air. The path beneath your feet feels alive, each step cushioned by pebbles that have seen rain and years. An old iron pot, once dull and weary, now wears a new skin of stone-painted texture, cradling a cluster of sedum and Japanese anemone. The contrast is delicate, cold iron against soft petals, strength beside gentleness. The sunlight trickles through the leaves, dancing over the metal's curve. It's not perfect, but it feels human, a quiet conversation between time and renewal. The iron hums faintly in the breeze, as if proud of its second life. Nearby, a woman kneels, wiping the edge of a flower pot with a cloth, leaving a faint trace of paint on her fingers. Her eyes follow the way the light plays across metal and stone, and for a moment, she sees beauty where others saw scrap. This garden doesn't shout. It listens. It listens to the rhythm of the earth, the breath of the wind, the resilience of things reborn. Every rusted piece carries history, now softened by color and care. The stones hold that memory gently, grounding it into calm permanence. When dusk falls, the painted metal catches the last amber light, reflecting a quiet glow into the surrounding flowers. It feels warm, a small miracle built from forgotten things. And as the day fades, you realize this harmony between metal and nature isn't accidental. It's hope, sculpted into form, alive again beneath the sky. Hidden between the fences of a tiny yard lies a secret world where small things bloom with grand intentions. Here, the roots of fallen trees and the pebbles from old garden paths have found a second life. What was once waste now breathes again, sculpted, repainted, and revived by gentle hands that believe beauty never truly disappears. Each recycled root planter carries the memory of the earth. Its twisted curves cradle blossoms of marigold and aster, their colors burning softly in the afternoon sun. The pebbles below shimmer with new paint, pale blues, sandy pinks, soft greens, forming a mosaic that whispers calm into the smallest corners of the yard. There is no need for wide lawns or marble fountains here. The charm lies in simplicity, in how the roots stretch like veins of time, holding flowers instead of soil, and how every tiny space becomes a verse of nature's quiet poem. When the light moves through the leaves, it casts slow-moving shadows that ripple across the pebbles, a dance between color and texture, between the rough and the tender. A child crouches near the corner, touching one of the painted stones. It feels cool and smooth, like a forgotten piece of the river. Above it, bees hum over chrysanthemums, their wings catching flashes of sunlight. The air smells of fresh soil and paint drying on wood, a mix of renewal and patience. And so, the garden becomes more than a place. It's a feeling, a reminder that even the smallest yard can bloom with meaning if touched with care. The recycled roots stand proudly, not as remnants, but as rebirths. The pebbles, once trodden and tossed aside, now gleam softly like little stars scattered at the gardener's feet. When dusk settles, the tiny garden glows with warmth, not from lights or grandeur, but from life itself, reborn, reused, and utterly alive in its quiet perfection. When sunlight kisses the edge of a garden, it dances along lines of color. Tiny stones arranged like poetry across the soil. These are no ordinary borders. They are mosaics made from recycled stone chips, hand-painted in hues of dawn and dusk. Sky blue, rose pink, moss green, and soft gold. Each piece tells a story of transformation. Fragments once forgotten, now turned into frames for living art. The flowers within these colorful outlines bloom with quiet pride. Marigolds blaze like little suns, asters unfold their soft petals to the breeze, and sedum whispers the language of endurance through its thick leaves. The stones beneath them sparkle faintly, reflecting both the light above and the care poured into their rebirth. A woman walks barefoot along the mosaic path, her shadow mingling with the shapes of leaves. She stops, kneels, and presses her palm against the stones. They are cool, grounding, steady. Around her, bees hum softly between chrysanthemums, and the scent of the earth rises, warm and comforting. In this small moment, she realizes that beauty is not bought. It is built, piece by piece, color by color, from what remains. The border is more than decoration. It is the heartbeat of the garden, a gentle reminder that boundaries, too, can bloom. The recycled stones form patterns that feel both ancient and new, like echoes of forgotten temples reborn in a modern cottage yard. And as evening falls, the light shifts, turning pastels into jewels. The mosaic glows faintly against the dark soil, a delicate contrast that whispers peace. In the stillness of twilight, the garden feels alive with gratitude. Every stone chip, once cast aside, now holds a purpose. Every color breathes harmony into the air. And as the night deepens, the path remains soft, quiet, and eternal. A mosaic of hope crafted from the simplest fragments of the earth. At the edge of a quiet garden, where daylight begins to fade, a soft glow awakens, the kind that warms both the heart and the earth. Here, driftwood and stone come together to cradle gentle flames. Each candle rests upon recycled roots and river rocks, their forms sculpted not by machines, but by time, tide, and care. The result is something rare, beauty born from patience. The scent of chrysanthemums lingers in the air as the flames flicker. Asters shimmer in twilight hues, their petals catching the last golden light. Sedum stands strong beside them, its tiny blossoms reflecting the soft glimmer of the candles. The stones beneath glow faintly, still cool from the day, while the driftwood releases a whisper of salt and history, traces of old oceans and forgotten shores. A woman sits nearby, her hands resting on her lap, eyes lost in the rhythm of the flickering lights. Around her, the garden hums with quiet life. A cricket's call, a leaf's fall, the faint murmur of wind against wooden branches. Every element feels alive, connected: fire, stone, root, and bloom. There's no perfection here, only harmony. The roughness of the driftwood balances the smoothness of the stones. The fragility of the flame meets the enduring calm of the earth. This little corner, born from recycled pieces, feels almost sacred. A sanctuary built not of wealth, but of thought. As dusk deepens into night, the candles cast long, tender shadows across the garden floor. The painted stones catch the light like tiny stars fallen among roots. It's simple, almost accidental, yet profoundly moving, proof that warmth doesn't need grandeur, only intention. And when the final flame trembles before surrendering to the dark, it leaves behind not silence, but serenity. The stones hold the last trace of heat, and the garden breathes, grateful for the light that once lived among its blooms. In a small garden touched by morning light, the old iron pots stand renewed, transformed not by wealth, but by will. Their surfaces, once dulled by rust, now shimmer with gentle hues of gray, cream, and moss green, painted carefully to mimic the calm of stone. They look as though they've always belonged, sturdy, grounded, and graceful amidst the blooms. Marigolds spill over their edges, their golden petals bright against the cool, stone-like finish. Asters lean softly into the air, while sedum and Japanese anemones sway in harmony beside them. Every brushstroke on the recycled pots carries intention, a conversation between human hands and nature's patience. The metal remembers its former life, cold, industrial, forgotten. Now it breathes again, holding life instead of rust. The sound of water trickling nearby adds rhythm to the stillness. A gardener kneels, brushing soil from her fingers, admiring how each pot catches the light differently. Some glowing pale under the sun, others shadowed in soft green. The illusion is perfect, but not deceptive. It doesn't hide what they were, it celebrates what they've become. Around the pots, the air feels cleaner, calmer. There's beauty in their quiet endurance, in how metal, reborn through art, can embody the piece of stone. The pebbles beneath shimmer faintly, and somewhere in the distance, the gentle hum of bees joins the song of the garden. As the afternoon deepens, sunlight pools against the painted pots, turning their textured surfaces into small canvases of gold and silver. It's hard to tell where nature ends and craft begins. What's certain is this: the garden now holds a rhythm of renewal, where even what was once forgotten becomes part of the whole again. And when evening finally arrives, the iron pots rest in the hush of twilight, their painted stone faces kissed by the last light. They have found their peace, not as relics of the past, but as living vessels of beauty and care. At the quiet edge of a garden, where imagination meets earth, the twisted roots rise like gentle guardians. They arch and curl, framing small worlds within fairy gardens sculpted from recycled dreams and living soil. Here, the ground is a canvas, and each root tells a story of both decay and rebirth. What once held trees steady now holds beauty in place. Beneath these natural arches, marigolds flicker like little suns, while asters and chrysanthemums weave a soft tapestry of color. Pebbles, hand-painted in faded pastels, rest among the moss, forming tiny pathways that seem to lead into another realm. There is no sound except for the soft hum of bees and the whisper of wind brushing through the leaves. Feels like the earth is breathing quietly, slow, steady, alive. A gardener bends near one frame, adjusting a small piece of driftwood that shelters a cluster of sedum. Her eyes light up as the sunlight filters through the roots, casting delicate shadows that dance across her hands. For a moment, she isn't just tending to plants. She's creating magic. Each curve of the root seems alive, reaching toward the light, embracing the flowers it protects. The fairy garden doesn't shout for attention. It invites curiosity, a whisper of wonder tucked in the corner of a yard. Children often stop here, their eyes wide, believing that something unseen might flutter just beyond the roots. And perhaps they're right. There's a kind of spirit in this place. Not mystical, but soulful, born from respect for nature's patience and art's persistence. As the day fades, the roots catch the last golden rays, turning into silhouettes of grace and quiet power. The garden glows softly, as if smiling at its own creation. What was once just fallen wood and scattered stone is now a story, a meeting of earth, hand, and heart. In the stillness, the twisted frames stand proud yet humble, whispering to anyone who looks closely enough. Even the roots that once held the past can grow new worlds again. Along the edge of an English garden stands an old wall, weathered by seasons but softened by care. Once plain and forgotten, it now gleams with stories told in color and stone. Each piece of recycled rock, brushed with soft hues of jade, amber, and rose, has been reborn as part of a living mural. Together they form art that breathes. Mosaic flowers blooming from fragments, patterns rising from patience. The sunlight catches the stones just right, turning them into small jewels pressed into the cottage's skin. Marigolds lean against the base, their orange petals flickering like firelight, while asters climb gently upward, their lavender edges brushing the wall's cool surface. Between the stones, sedum trails softly, its tiny blossoms adding texture to the harmony of color and shadow. A woman steps back, brush still in hand, eyes full of quiet pride. Her fingers are stained with paint and dust, yet what she sees before her is more than decoration. It's redemption, proof that the discarded can become divine. The stones were once dull, cracked, forgotten on garden paths. Now, under her touch, they've become part of something lasting, something that holds light even at dusk. The wall hums with a still beauty. Birds rest atop it, their small claws pressing against the smooth stones, and butterflies drift lazily along the marigolds below. The colors seem to change as the day moves, soft pastels at dawn, rich amber at noon, muted silver under moonlight. Each hour reshapes the mural's mood. As twilight approaches, the woman lights a small lantern near the wall. Its glow ripples across the stones, revealing glimmers of life beneath the paint. The tiny imperfections, the traces of hands, the fingerprints of creation. She smiles. This is her dialogue with the earth, an act of love disguised as craft. In that gentle glow, the wall no longer divides. It connects, holding together sky and soil, color and silence, memory and renewal. And in its quiet endurance, it teaches that even the hardest stone can carry warmth when touched with purpose. In the still rhythm of an afternoon garden, light drapes gently over a scene where nature and craft entwine. Twisted roots rise from the soil, not as remnants of trees long gone, but as sculpted arms that cradle life anew. Around their wooden curves, flower pots rest, humble, recycled vessels of color, surrounded by pebbles painted with patient hands. Blues like morning skies, greens like moss after rain, soft creams that breathe quiet elegance into the earth. Marigolds spill warmth from their crowns, asters lift delicate faces toward the light, and sedum stands in quiet strength, its tiny blooms glowing like stars caught at noon. Between them, the roots seem alive, wrapping, embracing, guarding. Every knot of wood carries history, every groove a memory of wind and water. Now they serve again, holding beauty aloft instead of branches. A woman kneels nearby, arranging the last pebble into place. The stones feel cool beneath her fingertips, smooth and honest. She brushes dust from her palms and looks up, her eyes following the lines of the root-wrapped stand. Wild yet graceful, imperfect yet true. Around her, the garden hums softly. Bees drift, leaves whisper, sunlight trembles across color. There is something profoundly human here, the quiet victory of care over waste. Each recycled piece, each painted stone, each curved root becomes part of a living philosophy. Nothing is ever useless when touched with intention. The garden doesn't boast luxury. It radiates thoughtfulness. As dusk falls, the last rays of sunlight settle on the painted pebbles, making them shimmer like scattered jewels. Shadows of roots stretch across the ground, weaving with the flowers' silhouettes in a dance only the evening understands. The air cools, carrying the scent of soil and bloom, and as night begins its gentle claim, the stands remain, proud and patient, holding both flowers and faith. In their stillness, they whisper the oldest truth the earth has ever known. What we choose to revive will always choose to bloom again. Beneath the gentle arc of the afternoon sun, the garden holds its breath. In the center stands a bench that seems carved from ancient stone, but touch it, and you'll feel the cool pulse of metal beneath painted skin. Once rusted and forgotten, it has been reborn through color and care, each brushstroke a quiet defiance against decay. What was industrial has become intimate, shaped not by machines but by human hands that refuse to waste. The marigolds bloom nearby, scattering gold along the path. Asters open in soft purples, their petals quivering with each passing breeze. Sedum clusters around the bench's legs, small yet steadfast, their leaves glowing faintly under the sunlight. The metal beneath the stone-like paint hums faintly, holding the day's warmth, a heart of iron hidden in nature's calm. A woman sits upon the bench, the hem of her linen dress brushing against the painted edge. She runs her hand across the surface, marveling at the illusion. The way texture mimics rock, the way shadow deepens the lines. Around her, the air feels still yet alive, filled with the scent of soil, the murmur of bees, and the far-off cry of a bird returning home. This seat, crafted from what others discarded, is more than a resting place. It's a bridge between past and present, a dialogue between earth and metal, softness and strength. It stands not as a monument, but as a whisper of possibility, that beauty can rise again, even from the rust of what once was. As dusk approaches, the last light gathers upon its surface, turning the gray paint to silver and the edges to gold. Shadows of flowers stretch long across the stones, wrapping the bench in a soft embrace. The garden breathes around it, steady, forgiving, eternal. And when the stars begin to wake, the bench remains, sturdy and serene. It carries no pride, only purpose, to remind all who sit that renewal is the purest form of art, and rest, the most human form of grace. Across the heart of the garden winds a ribbon of light, a path not made from marble or slate, but from simple stones reborn. Each pebble, once dull and ordinary, now gleams with soft color. The blue of dawn, the blush of evening clouds, the green of moss after rain. Placed carefully into the soil, they lead the way like stepping notes in a quiet song between earth and sky. Marigolds gather along the edges, their golden faces catching the sun. Asters bloom in calm violet, mirroring twilight before its fall. Every step feels like a promise that even what's broken can still carry someone forward. The recycled pebbles, painted with love, hold the garden's rhythm beneath bare feet, cool and certain, whispering stories of renewal with every touch. A gardener walks slowly, basket in hand, her steps deliberate yet light. She pauses to admire the shimmer where light meets paint, where water from last night's rain has settled in tiny pools across the stones. In each reflection, she sees pieces of sky, branches above, and her own quiet smile. Here, nothing is wasted. Everything finds its place, even color. The path curves toward a small bench hidden beneath sedum and Japanese anemones. It feels like a journey both outward and inward, through blooms, through memory, through care itself. Each stone was chosen, painted, placed. A labor not of necessity, but of devotion. And when sunlight fades, the colors soften rather than disappear, as if the garden has learned to glow from within. As evening deepens, the stepping stones gleam faintly under the first stars, their painted hues turning to silver and pearl. The path no longer just connects spaces. It connects moments, hands that painted, feet that wandered, hearts that found peace in the act of creation. And in that quiet, as the night air cools and the marigolds close their petals, the garden seems to whisper what every stone already knows: that beauty is not in permanence, but in the grace of being found, colored, and loved again. At the quiet edge of an open patio, where sunlight filters like silk through the trees, glass terrariums shimmer, small worlds encased in stillness. Inside them, roots twist gracefully around polished stones, holding fragments of earth and air in delicate balance. Each recycled vessel holds a story of transformation, a reminder that even fragments can hold whole worlds if shaped with care. The roots stretch like rivers frozen in time, wrapping around pebbles painted in soft, natural hues: pale sand, cool gray, forest green. Between them bloom tiny marigolds and asters, their petals glowing against the glass, defying their smallness with radiant certainty. The air feels calm here, filled with the scent of chrysanthemums and fresh moss. A gardener's hand moves gently along the table, adjusting one of the terrariums so that it catches more light. In the curved reflection, she sees not only her face but her effort, countless hours spent collecting roots, cleaning stones, painting what was once dull into something that breathes. The glass hums faintly in the warmth, its transparency making every imperfection a part of its beauty. Around the patio, sedum spills from its pots, and butterflies drift lazily between blooms. The terrariums glint like quiet stars in daylight, small, contained constellations of life. There's something poetic in their restraint, something human in their humility. They don't demand attention, they invite observation. As the day softens into dusk, the glass spheres glow with the last golden rays, the roots within casting delicate silhouettes like old ink drawings. The pebbles glimmer faintly, their colors deepening under the dim light. The garden becomes quieter, slower, almost dreamlike. And when night finally folds over the patio, the terrariums remain, small lanterns of memory and renewal. Within each one lives a piece of the earth, a piece of patience, a piece of art. They whisper gently into the dark, telling whoever listens that nature, once touched by love, never truly stops creating. It simply learns new ways to shine. In a quiet corner of the garden, where soil meets memory, old tools rise again. Their edges, once sharp and proud, are now softened by rust and time. Yet beneath the weathered metal lies a story of endurance. Once forgotten in a shed, they have returned to the light, reborn not as instruments of labor, but as art woven into the landscape of stone and bloom. The spade stands upright among marigolds, its handle brushed with moss-green paint, its blade shimmering faintly under sunlight. Beside it, a rusted trowel cradles a cluster of asters, their lavender petals swaying gently in the breeze. Sedum creeps around their bases, wrapping each tool like a quiet embrace, turning decay into design. Even the smallest pebble beneath seems to hum with renewal. A gardener kneels before the display, her fingers tracing the cool surface of a painted handle. The texture tells a story, the roughness of time, the smoothness of care. Around her, bees wander between chrysanthemums, and the air smells of iron, earth, and distant rain. What was once mere function has become meaning. What was once discarded now stands with dignity. Each piece has its place, arranged among stones that shimmer with soft color. Muted whites, gentle grays, sunlit browns. The composition feels effortless, yet alive. A perfect conversation between human craft and nature's rhythm. The tools, painted but imperfect, seem to smile in their silence. They have found peace in their new purpose. As evening comes, the light shifts. The metal glows gold for a moment, then fades to deep bronze as shadows stretch across the garden. The wind hums through the leaves, and the tools seem almost to breathe. In their stillness lies a quiet triumph, proof that beauty isn't the opposite of age, but its echo. When night falls and the flowers close their eyes, the rock garden remains, a sanctuary of second chances. The tools rest, no longer forgotten, but fulfilled, guardians of a truth older than rust, that everything, even what's broken, can shine again beneath the sun. As the sun dips below the horizon, the garden exhales, and light blooms again, not from the sky, but from the earth itself. Between clusters of marigolds and asters, small lanterns of stone begin to glow. Each one is a creation of patience. Recycled pebbles painted in quiet hues, bound by the graceful twist of roots that hold them like guardians of light. The air hums with warmth and calm. Shadows melt into gold. The lanterns stand close to the flower beds, their soft glow brushing against petals of sedum and chrysanthemums. In that light, colors deepen. Oranges become embers, purples turn to wine, and greens whisper of evening's peace. The roots that cradle each lantern seem alive, their gnarled shapes casting slow-moving patterns across the stones, as if nature itself were painting with light. A gardener moves through this scene with careful steps, her hands cupped around a small candle. She places it gently within one of the lanterns, the flame trembling, finding its rhythm. The glow spills outward, mingling with the scent of soil and bloom. There's no noise here, only the quiet harmony of effort rewarded, of transformation complete. The painted stones, once dull and scattered, now serve a higher purpose. They illuminate, they anchor, they soothe. Each imperfection in their surface becomes a window for light. Each curve of the root tells a story of resilience, of holding on even when the world changes shape. As the night grows deeper, the lanterns multiply their glow. The garden becomes a constellation on the ground, a universe of small suns rising from forgotten things. Moths dance in slow circles, drawn to the warmth. Leaves rustle like whispers of gratitude. From the patio, the scene looks almost unreal. Nature and human intention balanced so perfectly that they seem to breathe as one. The roots cradle fire, the stones hold its shape, and together they make something more. Not just decoration, but devotion. When the last candle flickers out, the warmth remains. The roots, the stones, the earth all remember, because light, once shared with care, never truly fades. It simply waits for dawn to return. At dawn, when the air still holds its breath, the garden awakens to a quiet melody, the flutter of wings and the whisper of water. In the center stands a birdbath like no other, shaped not by chisels but by nature's own hands. Roots twist upward from the soil, embracing smooth stones that cradle a shallow pool of light. The structure seems ancient yet new, born from pieces the world once overlooked. A sparrow lands first, dipping its beak into the clear water. Ripples travel outward, touching the edges of the recycled roots, sliding over the stones that gleam faintly in the morning sun. Around it, marigolds flicker gold, asters open like small galaxies, and sedum rests low and steady, a soft carpet of calm. The air feels warm and kind, every breath laced with dew and the scent of soil. The gardener stands nearby, watching in silence. She remembers the roots when they were lifeless, the stones when they were dull, the old bowl when it was cracked and forgotten. Yet now, together, They hold life, reflecting sky, feeding wings, mirroring the soft beauty of renewal. In that reflection, she sees herself, patient, flawed, persistent. The birdbath doesn't dominate the garden. It belongs to it. It rises naturally among the blooms, part sculpture, part sanctuary. When sunlight passes through the leaves, the water shimmers like glass, casting patterns onto the roots below. Patterns that look like veins, as though the garden itself were alive with heartbeat and breath. By evening, more birds gather. Robins, finches, doves, each finding comfort in the simple gift of water. The bowl catches the fading gold of sunset, turning it to amber light. The roots glow softly, the stones hum with warmth, and the garden feels complete. When night falls, the water stills, reflecting the first star above. The birdbath stands quietly in the dark, a small altar to transformation. Proof that beauty is not born from perfection, but from persistence. And in that hush, the garden seems to whisper to the world. Even what has fallen can rise again, to serve, to shine, to live. As the light begins to fade and the garden settles into its quiet rhythm, we are reminded that beauty does not always ask to be seen. Sometimes it simply waits to be felt. Every recycled root, every painted stone, every small bloom we've explored today carries the same message, that nothing in nature is ever truly lost. With care, with patience, with love, everything can live again. Here, in the heart of every garden, lies a lesson of gentle transformation. Old materials reborn, forgotten fragments finding harmony among petals and leaves. They show us that renewal isn't just a process of making things new, but a way of learning how to see again, to see meaning in the simple, to see wonder in the ordinary, to see hope quietly growing between the roots and the stones. At TERAFLORA Studio, every creation we share is more than design. It is a reflection of calm living, a reminder that beauty blooms where kindness takes root. And as each episode closes, we hope it leaves you a little lighter, a little more inspired to bring serenity back into your own space. If this journey has brought warmth to your thoughts, or perhaps a spark of new imagination to your day, we invite you to stay with us. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio, and let each story guide you gently toward a more mindful way of seeing the world. Until next time, may your hands stay creative, your heart stay calm, and your garden, in whatever form it takes, forever stay alive with light.